Welcome to Gardening with Insightful Nana. Today we're going to do container gardening, and we're going to fill our container with herbs. So this is going to be herb container gardening. Okay, here we are. I've got our container here for our container herb garden, and I picked up this container at the grocery store, and it's plastic, and it cost me about $6. You can find metal containers, square containers, oblong containers, or a round container. So this is what we're going to use. We need a drill here because we're going to put holes in the bottom of the container for drainage. And we have some packing peanuts here. We're going to put the packing peanuts in the bottom of the container. It keeps it so you don't have to use so much soil, and it keeps the container lighter in case you have to move it around. I'm using Miracle-Gro potting mix, and this automatically feeds your container for up to 3 months, so you won't have to keep fertilizing, and it's a good potting soil. Then we have our herbs over here. I've made a selection of the herbs that I like and that I use. I'll be using some garlic chives. I'll be using some oregano, sage, basil, and I'm putting 2 basil plants in because I really like basil. Actually, 3 basil plants. Look at this basil. It's a red basil, and it's really nice to cook with. And this is a thyme, and then we'll be planting some parsley. We're going to drill several holes here so we have good drainage. And I think in a container this size I'll have at least 10 to 15 holes. You could use a little larger drill bit if you wanted to. Now we've just completed step 1, which is to put the holes in the bottom of our container for drainage. Step 2 is we're going to put these packing peanuts in the bottom. It's a deep container, so it's not necessary to use a lot of soil to fill the container. The peanuts also help with drainage, and it makes the container not so heavy in case you have to move it around. My sister Sheila is helping us today. She's on the camera, so she will be explaining things as we go along or asking questions.
I do have a question, Kathy, about how much depth do I need in packing peanuts?
I would say approximately 1/4 to 1/3 of your container would be ample enough.
All right.
Some of the herbs get a deeper root system than others, and I've noticed that the chives do get a deeper root system, but the packing peanuts don't seem to bother that.
Okay, great.
Now the third step is to fill the container with soil. The soil I've chosen is the Miracle-Gro soil. It has fertilizer in it, and I like that. That way I don't have to fertilize all summer long. That makes it real nice. Now we have our selection of plants here, and we're going to arrange our selection of plants. And I'm just going to show you a little bit and keep in the cups and tell you a little bit what we're going to do. The basil gets quite tall, and it gets quite full. And so we'll put that into the center. I have selected an oregano that will stay low. I have selected a thyme that will stay low, and the sage stays relatively low. Now these particular chives are a garlic chive. They still stay real light and airy, and so they don't get as tall as the regular chive that I have seen in gardens, and so these are really ideal for a container. And they're not going to get extremely tall, so we'll put those right there. And we're going to put our red basil right there. That's so nice because it gives a little color to your food that you'll use it in, as well as color in this little garden. And then we'll be planting a little parsley. So that's going to be our selection of herbs, and we will plant these now in the soil. Okay, we've got a lot of our plants planted, and we're just down to these garlic chives. Now Sheila, you mentioned a little earlier about the root ball. Would you explain that?
Yes, sometimes if you take your vegetables, whatever you're planting, out of the container that it's come from the nursery in, and the roots are really thick and hard, just break that up a little bit so that they can actually grow and not stay in that root ball. So you want to just mash that just a little bit. Don't be afraid, and just tear them apart just a little bit. These look really good. They are real loose.
Yeah, they're loose and soft. But I have had plants, especially flower plants. I remember when I was doing petunias at one time, that the root ball on it, they had so many roots on the bottom.
Oops.
Oh, we did. We just broke a little piece off. But you know
Well,
what?
right in the perfect spot,
Right in
Kathy.
the perfect spot there. Because we're going to talk about clipping these back.
Yeah.
See this little, the first growth here?
Uh-huh.
You need to just pinch those out anyway. Come back and pinch the first growth. And then you'll do this periodically all through the season, because these will get tall and real spindly. So if you wanted to branch out more and to continue to have more basil through the summertime, just come out every week and just pinch them way back, and then they'll just keep blossoming out and blooming out, and so you'll have lots of basil for the entire summer. So on this one, I'm going to clip this back. There's some small little leaves that are coming out right there. So I'm going to pinch back this initial leaf here, and it's going to give a chance to spread a little bit rather than getting too tall. You need to do those on the plants that are going to get real high. Now I can even do this a little bit on this oregano and get this to spread a little bit more instead of starting to get too tall and lanky.
Yeah, now I know you during the summer, you'll be picking that basil so much you won't have to worry about it.
Oh, I know. I use a lot of basil, real good with tomatoes. Same thing with the sage. I'm looking down here and there's lots of little tiny leaves that are coming out. So I'm just going to take out that center and cause this basil to, no, this is not basil, this is sage.
Yeah.
Cause this sage to spread out a little bit. So
All right.
that's good. And you'll start to see lots of growth. I'm starting to see lots of growth coming in on that parsley. Use your parsley, clip it way down when you use the parsley, and you'll get lots of growth that keeps coming back through the summer. Now there's an herb that you can't do this with, and that is cilantro. Cilantro, you usually use a lot of cilantro at one time. So if you can have a little separate cilantro garden where I would plant the cilantro right here for this first picking, and then a week later I plant more cilantro, and then I plant more cilantro and more cilantro, so you have a rotating harvest, because it does not come back like the parsley and some of these other types of herbs.
Okay.
So if you're considering oregano, which is such a popular herb, make sure that you just plant throughout the season in your pot. And once this is gone, you can pull this out, you can put new cilantro there, and then you'll have a nice crop of cilantro through the entire summer.
Okay, now you said oregano, but you meant cilantro,
Oh,
right?
I did. Did I say oregano?
Yeah,
oh
you did.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
It is cilantro, that kind that you put in all that good salsa.
Yeah.
Now, this is a real fun garden for kids. You had mentioned that earlier, Sheila, that
Yeah.
it's a great one for children and grandchildren. My grandchildren were here last summer, and they loved the herb garden because they would come by and pinch a little of this and smell their fingers and take little leaves off. And so when we cooked with the herbs during the summer months, they loved to come out and pick the herbs for the cooking. So it makes it real fun.
All right, great.
Okay, we're going to add a little water here. This may reduce the soil down a little bit, so you need some extra soil as this kind of diminishes a little bit.
And Kathy, are you going to put this container out in the sun, or does it need shade?
Yes, this is definitely a sun product, and it stands the hot sun in the afternoon very, very well. Herbs do, because they're usually out in a garden someplace, and they do. So they need lots of sun in a warm place. So if you've got a sunny spot on the west side of your house or in the west area where it will get lots of sun, even hot sun in the late afternoon, it really is the best. Now as far as watering is concerned, just water it, put your finger down into the soil. If it feels real dry underneath, then go ahead and water. But it doesn't take a tremendous amount of water, just when it gets real dry. Thank you for joining us today with Gardening with Insightful Nana. You can find me at insightfulnana.com, where we have gardening tips, home living tips, parenting tips. Join us at insightfulnana.com. Till later.